Welcome to the Sales Whisperer Podcast, session 35. What do you say we automate the way you hear and play today? Welcome to the 35th session of the Sales Whisperer Podcast. This is Wes Schaefer, your host and the Sales Whisperer. I've got a great guest on, as always, Mr. Jermaine Griggs. He's a friend of mine here in Southern California, but he was the 2011 Infusionsoft Ultimate Marketer of the Year. He's got a great story we're going to jump into. We went a little long on this session. Jermaine is a giver, and despite how fast he talks, which you'll see, we still went long. So you may have to, instead of playing this on double speed, you may have to play it on half speed. Just to get all the notes. But as always, you can visit thesaleswhisperer.com/session35 to get the show notes, the links that we discuss in the interview. So hold on to your hats. Make sure you got a pen ready. Make sure you're able to pause and rewind because we get a lot of information jam-packed into this session. And also remember, I've been mentioning this now for a few sessions, but I've been working with audible.com. If you visit wesaudiobook.com, you'll get a free audiobook to give it a try. I've been using it since September of 2013 and just really digging it. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but when I run out of those, I'm listening to books. So always trying to get better, keep out the negativity, and bring in the good stuff. So again, check out wesaudiobook.com. And without further ado, here is the interview with Mr. Jermaine Griggs. Jermaine Griggs, we have our dogs locked away, so now welcome to the call.
Hey, Wes. Actually, I don't have any dogs. I was actually referencing my kids, but they're locked away too.
For everyone wondering what we're talking about, we're about to get started. My dog's barking, and Jermaine says, "I've got mine locked in the playroom." I thought he meant his dogs, and it's his kids. That just ain't right.
Hey, well, some things require drastic measures. But glad to be here. Glad to be here, Wes.
So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. For everyone that does not know who you are, A, they should be locked in a playroom. But B, can you give us a quick thumbnail on your background and what you do for a living, and then we'll get into the meat of it.
Sure, absolutely. My primary business is hearandplay.com, and it's a music website. It specializes in teaching musicians around the world how to play music by listening or how to play by ear. And we started on piano, and now we teach guitar, drums. We've got singing on there. We've got organ. We've got drums, all kinds of instruments, and but it didn't start that way. I'll tell the quick version of my story. I was 12 years old, I remember, and playing for churches and choirs, and I developed this knack to play the piano. And it was actually this piano, Wes, that my grandma won off The Price is Right in the 70s, even before I was born. But this piano would be in our family, and it's still in our family to this day, 40 years later. And I'd learn this piano, she'd play it, and I'd hop on after and play it. And so I kind of got this reputation in the community, and we lived in the inner cities of Long Beach. I didn't have much money, but I had this burning desire, and I was always doing something. And among those things, I was selling Avon, I was selling legal services, prepaid legal, if you remember, and I was selling stationery, and people think that I was just signed up helping my parents. No, I was the main person signed up. They had to sign for me as a minor and everything. I was hardcore. I had my pink ribbon in the Avon Club and the President's Club, as they called it. And so one of the things I was also doing among my many endeavors was teaching kids how to play the piano. I had made these workbooks, and wouldn't have thought that come at the turn of the century, I guess, August 6, 2000 was the year. I was 17 years old, and I launched hearandplay.com, which was just the next evolution. I was teaching local kids and playing in the church and playing at for the school and the choirs. And now I said, I'm gonna put these little books that I put together in Microsoft Word. I'm gonna put these online. And hearandplay.com was the name I came up with. Not advanced at all. I asked myself, what do we do? Well, I hear and I play, and that was my company name. Right, Hear and Play. That was my company name. And the rest is history. We've gone on to teach hundreds of thousands of musicians in this small targeted niche. I remember the turning point my freshman year in college. I thought I was studying to be a lawyer, and that turned around when I made a few changes to my site, and I know you'll probably ask me about that, but I really got into copywriting. I really got into sales and persuasion. I forsook my prior philosophy of just putting up a picture with 4 sentences, because that's how you think you sell stuff, right? That's how catalogs do it. I had just taken a plane trip, my first plane trip for a debate competition, and I was reading the Sky Mall, and everything in there was a picture and a paragraph. So I thought that's how you sell, picture and a paragraph. So this long sales page, Wes, this 26-page, sales letter that Corey Rudel, Dan Kennedy, these guys I've come across, are telling me to put up. Is this going to work? How is this going to work? Let my college buddies look at it. They said, dude, no one's ever going to buy from you. But long story short, that was my turning point. We would do 6 figures after that sales page was implemented that year in 2002. We'd go on to do 7 figures, and now we're multiple 7 figures. Since inception, this little boy from, Long Beach, California, with no investment, capital, anything like that, we've gone on to do 8 figures total in sales since inception online, just with this little idea and $70 and a domain name, hearandplay.com. So obviously I do speak and I teach people what I've done, so that's the other side of me as well. But here I am talking to Wes Schaefer.
Very nice. All right. We got a lot of digging in to do. You better be ready. You better have your energy drink, coffee, I don't know what. I mean, there's a lot going on. 2002, you start this. So, like you, I'm a big writer. I follow Dan Kennedy. I like that approach. But do you think it is changing? Do you think maybe too many people have emulated that? And do you think attention spans are going down with Twitter and the proliferation of, things like Vine? Obviously, YouTube, video is more important. Have you tested shorter form sales letters and more video to know what's working now, or is that long form sales letter still killing it?
You know what? That's a great question, and I think it's multiple facets to the answer. I think on one end, you've got to look at the market and sophistication of markets. I learned through breakthrough advertising, Eugene Shorts, that different markets require different forms of marketing because of their sophistication level. So you're looking at internet marketing where people don't necessarily buy per se, at least, people like us, people that are into the marketing. Dan Kennedy releases a new, course. We don't necessarily go word for word in the sales page. We probably scroll down, look at the price, maybe scroll back up a little bit, see the general gist, and we make a decision of whether to buy. We're a little bit more sophisticated than the common consumer. But, niches like music or, golf, where there isn't a business underlying, experience, or for lack of a better phrase, it requires a difference. So I would say that sales is sales, and the media, I think a lot of people mix up the media, and I would say that although now you can put it in video format, it's the same general sales format. That hasn't changed. What I learned in 2002 about attracting attention, generating interest, increasing desire, and leading them to act, that's the same. So whether now we do video sales letters now, we do long sales pages, but to be honest, homepianocourse.com, that's my first sales letter. And I don't know if you say through laziness, maybe I should update it, but that thing is still selling my 300-page course like hotcakes 12 years later, Wes. So I've got long sales pages still out there being assets for me. I've got more modern video sales letters. I've got automated webinars. But what hasn't changed to me is the process of selling. It still starts with attention, whether you abbreviate it whether you take out, certain things to make it faster. But I think with Infusionsoft, it really gives us the ability to segment people so that we can talk to our serious people different than our people who, are on their way out or just, slightly interested in what we're doing. So, I have certain sales pages that my returning buyers that I know that are inclined to read because that's how their last behavior tells me they bought. I'll send them to sales pages. People that have last bought with video, I can send them to video. So I think that question is very interesting, but I don't think that the way to sell has changed. I think it's the same everlasting principles that have been here for hundreds of years. I studied the classics and the greats, and I think that depending on the market, though, you may have to adjust.
Right. So what would you say, what are you doing today or, on a weekly basis, daily basis? What do you do to grow after all these years?
Right. Well, one of the things I tell in my story is come maybe 2007, I remember just kind of flatlining. And so for us, automation and automated marketing and what I call behavioral-based marketing was huge for us. So now it's about taking somebody from the beginning of the funnel, asking a lot of questions over time. So one of my big things is I advocate this 4-video sequence. And the reason why I say 4 videos, and the 4 is not even important, 3 videos, 6 videos, but just to be able to ask those questions over time, to survey the base, to get them to raise their hand and tell you specific things, and then to be able to custom tailor, what comes next, especially for them, based on what they tell you. That's been huge for us. And whereas before, we needed lots of big numbers and lots of eyeballs because, we had a one-size-fits-all approach. And, in that approach, you're trying to make the numbers work on 1% conversion, which is probably like the direct response average, or, people quote that 1-2%. And now, getting them in a funnel and maybe delaying that. There's some one-time offers that we present up front, but for the most part, delaying that, that quick sale, that one-night stand date, and in lieu of collecting information, building a relationship, putting them in a funnel that really speaks to their needs and desires and wants, it's not unlikely for us to get that up to 7, 8, 10, 12%. And so it just, when the numbers work like that, it takes a lot of pressure off of your lead generation. I think it affects your lead generation, your cost per acquisition, and obviously we have those things set up to ongoing after they buy, with the aim to increase their lifetime value as well.
So that brings up a great point. I tell people, part of it's the Dan Kennedy, have a shocking headline, but part of it's true. And I tell people, you don't need more traffic.
Right.
They're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, most people have a conversion problem.
That's right.
And once you get your conversion down pat, then spend money on more traffic. And it sounds like that's what you experienced.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's it's also like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, and But I usually tell people, go with conversion first. Now, if you have absolutely no traffic to test that and tweak that, then you kind of have that chicken or egg problem. But in terms of going for mass traffic and being on the latest traffic bandwagon or tool or widget, most people are spending their energy in the wrong way, and it should really be on conversions, getting certain elements in place in their funnels, because one tweak, one change, one added promotion, one added decision diamond for a specific segment, you figured out was your hottest, can really change your numbers and make something that was struggling become a success.
So you had mentioned you had flatlined in 2007. Is that when you found Infusionsoft and started automating?
That is. I was in search. I was using one shopping cart. And for the most part, just broadcasting. I mean, we had like a 10-day sequence. We had autoresponders. And that's one key difference that I make. Are you using your CRM as a glorified autoresponder? An autoresponder can just basically queue up emails and send them out, 3 days later, 7 days, 10, 20 days later. And I had that. Don't get me wrong. but it wasn't behavior-based. It wasn't based on them clicking more or what they last clicked, being able to queue up an action based on clicking. If they clicked every email, they got the same thing as someone who clicked no email. They got the same promotions in the same period of time, and something had to change with that. And I had traffic. Don't get me wrong. My Alexa score is probably bigger than it is now. Although, I don't really follow Alexa that much anymore, but I think everybody got pushed down. I think there's just so many more sites now, 7 years later. But, and I went on a search for something different. And I had heard of Infusionsoft, but never really gave it a consideration. And we finally started using it in 2008, and I really devoured it. Every aspect of the app I started putting to work. Automated direct mail, voice broadcasting, with their API, text message marketing. Every modality, I call it 360-degree marketing. So whereas we were only hitting them up via email, and very poorly at that, one size fits all, one schedule, promotions all at the same intervals. Now all of that stuff was dynamic. All of that stuff was relative to their action and recency and what they just did last. And that was huge for us. And then not only that, now we're able to incorporate direct mail and some of the mediums that I was always scared of. And you have right to be scared of them if you don't know what you're doing and you're sending everybody the same postcard and direct mail. But now that you can elevate certain people in your system and pick out people in an automated way and say, hey, you deserve, this sort of follow-up. Yeah, more expensive to me. Yeah, a little different from my pocketbook, but you deserve it, and you've exhibited behavior that would make this type of follow-up worthwhile. And typically, we keep them moving in the same direction. As what's that? Newton's law of motion. Keeping them moving in the right direction. And so that was huge for us.
So everything you're talking about is fantastic, but it's kind of advanced. Should beginners be scared of this, or do they just have to bite the bullet and realize, to build a lasting business, this is what has to be done?
Right. Well, a lot of people say it's advanced, and maybe I've just been in it so long that I don't see it that way. And that happens in music, too. Don't get me wrong. A jazz cat sits down and starts doing stuff. I'm like, whoa, you're blowing me away. And he's, this stuff I learned 10 years ago. And so, that I know that exists here. But really, this automation, when I first joined Infusionsoft, some people call it Confusionsoft. You know what I'm talking about, Wes. But now, things have changed so drastically. They have a campaign builder, and now it's just dragging bubbles. So when I'm talking about, moving somebody on faster because they, act or they behave in a certain way, that's not an advanced script or custom, programming like it had to be in the past. Or even if I wanted to do that with one shopping cart pre-2007, I'd have to get real fancy. But now that's just dragging out a bubble called a goal. And the goal is saying, hey, if they click anything in the past, or if they click this or that, or if they get this tag, which is just a label, and we label them when they click stuff, there's so many different, options. But, if they click this, hey, send them on in this direction. And there's an arrow pointing to where they're going. So I think it's gotten real visual. I think if you can't do it now, then you just can't do it. And there's never been an easier way to really set up this behavioral-based path. And just think about it. You got 10 prospects coming in, and out of those 10, maybe you'll get 2, Pareto principle, that'll have the most energy or proclivity to act. Do you want to keep those 2 in your same, autoresponder series, having to wait, till day 10 to be offered something, or rather being offered something right away before they've even, been able to see what you're about or see if you're right for them, or to be able to meet them where they are, to be able to send information like you talked about in your past podcast, to build that relationship with content. And then out of the people that are engaging, say, hey, I noticed, John Doe over here is engaging. I got a little bubble on my screen that as soon as they click, this last email, we're going to send them here to ask them to fill out a survey so we can get on the phone with them. Or you can even get stuff like if they click the last, I like doing this, if they click the last 3 or 5 emails. And that's just a matter of saying they have this and this and this, or this and this and this, or this and this and this. I like doing that last 3 or 5 as well because it kind of lifts the bar. But no, I think it sounds more sophisticated than it really is. If you're not moving in this direction, I think that you'll find yourself behind the puck. Wayne Gretzky says he always skated to where the puck was going,
right?
Not where it was.
And you probably see this as well because now you have your automationclinic.com, right?
Yes.
You coaching and working with small business owners, entrepreneurs. But do you see that people's biggest struggle is they blame technology for their own gaps? You know, I'm writing a book called Process Before Login. You know, people, they call it Confusionsoft or blame whatever software, but they don't know what they want to even automate. They've never mapped out a sales and marketing sequence beyond taking the phone call and sending an email and a quote. And so they want to blame the system instead of their own, they want to blame the software, the technology, instead of their own lack of having any system even on a piece of paper.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest problem. In fact, not only with clients and people I see on the automation clinic side, but my own buddies that I invite into Infusionsoft. Got a buddy who does websites for Major League Baseball players. So, I mean, he's a big deal, you know, and I've been able to go and meet the players and send VIP and stuff, and I invite him to Infusionsoft. And the biggest problem that we came up with is he didn't know what he wanted to automate. And I'm listening to Tony Robbins' RPM. I think it's called Time of Your Life or something. And the whole thing with that program is first you got to know what is your outcome, what is your result first. And then secondly, why you want it. And then thirdly, then you build your massive action plan. So I think the R stands for results, the P stands for purpose or why, and then the M stands for massive results. And I think that's what people are missing. You know, they've heard about this automation thing, and they think they need to be there, but I think they're missing the plan, and they're missing, you know, the marketing know-how behind it. You know, and I always tell people it's just don't think of the vast system, and you see these big old maps on Infusionsoft and their case studies and stuff. I say it's just a yes or no process. You know, what's the first step you want someone to do? Well, probably you want them to give you their information. Well, what are you going to have to do to get that information? Well, these days, you know, gone are the days of get free updates or join my mailing list. You're probably going to have to give something in exchange for that. Maybe, a guide you've built, an ebook, maybe a video series, as I advocate, maybe a webinar, you know, but you're going to generally give something. People call that a lead magnet, right? Okay, so from that point, you've got a yes or no question. Okay, they've signed up. Even if they haven't signed up, I mean, there are some things you can do on your page, like pop up something or whatnot. But let's say they sign up. Well, now you have a question, right? Don't try to think 10 steps from now. Just think what now, right? The power of now. So what is the question? Did they consume that which they've just signed up for, right? Did they just consume, you know? So if that question is yes, well, what do you do? That's just a bubble on Infusion, you know, in the campaign build. That's just a bubble. Drag out a bubble. That bubble means they said yes. And if they didn't do what you wanted, that's inherent in that is a no. So, you know, you pop out a timer and you say, well, I'm going to wait, you know, a day. And I'm just going to chime in and ask them, you know, if they got any questions or, you know, pop the link to them again. If I collected phone, maybe I'll put someone on the phone. That might be a little premature. But, yeah, that's all we're doing. So I call it worst-case scenario marketing on one end, you know, having things set up just in case they never get to yes, right, and trying to touch them a few ways. But as they raise their hand and as they do what I want, they click yes, that goal is satisfied. Now we're moving them on. And I think that is huge to have 10 people and by day 3, somebody's already, you know, completed 7 steps of your process while the other ones are being followed up with, you know, respectfully and casually to get them moving in that direction. And that's huge. But it just starts with understanding what do you want and what is the end result or what's the first result. And then I think in doing that, you know, like writer's block, for example, when I sit down to write, and I'm a great writer, I've won awards at my college, and I've been published for that. But even when I sit down, the first 30 minutes or hour, you know, it may be hard to get going. But what happens when you finally get going? It might be that 63rd minute, but something just hits you. And I always say, thank you, Jesus, when that happens, because, that first minute, I can't imagine myself just flowing. But what happens is I get started. I start typing. Oftentimes what I type in that first hour, 30 minutes, if I'm working on something big, usually I can get going faster with blogging. But that first 30 minutes to an hour, but it'll hit me. And I think the same is true with automation and Infusionsoft. Just get started with your first yes or no, your first result. Then you say, I get this. The light bulb will go off, and it'll be on to the races now. My friend's sending me, campaigns and maps and stuff that he's figured out because he had that light bulb moment. But I think it was because he got started, and he without even knowing the whole thing, he got in and he looked at what does he want and what does he want now, and then the rest came to him.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I think in general, people, I don't think they're that afraid of failure. They're more afraid of success, and they hold off from doing what they need to do.
That's true. That's true.
What would you say? So we're talking a little bit big picture. What's like a rubber meets the road tip you'd have for somebody in whatever, blogging, making videos, anything? What's like a little aha moment, you can share with people that may appear obvious to you, but people are always shocked when you tell them this little nugget.
Let's see. That's a good one. Let's see. What's a rubber meets the road tip? Give me some examples, Wes. I don't know if my brain is moving fast.
Maybe it's how you leverage social media. Maybe it's a WordPress plugin that you can't live without. Something like that. Okay,
gotcha. Well, one thing that's working very well for us at Hear and Play is what I call, well, this is just one tip. Maybe something will hit me later, but it's what I call up-surveying, and it's this idea of asking certain questions under video, but then based on what they answer, popping up another question that generally leads to a sales-based sequence that we set. So we may ask, like under the first video, we may ask, why do you want to learn piano? And, there's like 6 or 7 options, and based on what they choose, we'll ask another question, that's a more what I call money question, and that one would be something like, have you ever hired a piano teacher? Or have you ever, bought an online course before? And based on what they choose there, and I always hide those kind of money questions on the other end of my general non-obtrusive questions. That's why I call it up-serving, more like an upsell, where you provide the opportunity to buy something after the fact. Well, it's an up-survey strategy, and it works very well for us. And I find that there's a correlation between the people that fill out the second up-survey question and making their first purchase. And we track that kind of stuff. For example, we track lead to buyer, and this is a plug-in you can get out there in the marketplace, and we give it away as well. But lead to buyer says from the time they join, like on the mailing list, and the first time they buy, how many days elapse between that period. And it's huge. The amount of people we see that engage in our system, answer our questions, can be 50% earlier in buying than those that don't. So I think asking questions, having strategic questions that you can then they satisfy goals in Campaign Builder, but then they send people on in separate paths to make sales based exactly on what they told you and based on their history. Somebody says they bought online before. Well, we can take out all the credibility-based, security-based follow-up and things we normally mention, and we can say, hey, you've done this before. Hey, here's why we're different. If they say they've hired a private teacher before, hey, we can push them towards our continuity programs, where they're paying monthly because they've been in a habit to pay monthly. So I think asking a lot of questions and really harnessing the power of Infusionsoft survey capabilities. You got 100 custom fields. And that's another thing. I find that people in the Infusionsoft community really squander their custom fields. My 2 rules for custom fields are, number one, the data must be usable. So if they're typing in open-ended stuff, I don't agree with that. And number 2, the data must be mergeable, in a sensible way. So we ask stuff like, what's your favorite? So back to the questions. We ask stuff, what's your favorite genre? You know, jazz. We simply put it there, jazz. We don't say it is jazz. We don't let them type in it is jazz. We put in jazz. So now, you know, when it comes time to send them a lesson or a blog post, even if the blog post is universally written for everybody, we can open it up so it sounds more appealing to those jazz folks. Hey, since you're into jazz, I thought this article written below would really help you. Now, obviously, that works for anybody. So making sure that that data is mergeable. If it can't be mergeable or merged and it can't be used to affect future communications or conditions or decision diamonds, and it's just open-ended stuff, then you want to put it in the person note. So, I think surveying has been huge for us. And I always say if the money's in the list, then a fortune is in the data-rich list.
So what are you using? Are you using tools like Survey Funnel, things like that, or are you just manipulating Infusionsoft for these surveys?
I've checked that one out as well, but I don't know, I'm old school, so I just use an iframe, which is just like on your TV. It's like a picture-in-picture. It's like watching one channel, you know, watching the Lakers game, and then the main thing is the baseball championships or something. It's the same thing. So on my page, I just take Infusionsoft's web forms, and I put them in a little iframe under the video. So they're watching the video, and then iframe is like one line of code on Google. It allows you to basically it's like inserting a link. It's the same amount of code to insert a hyperlink under the video, except you're inserting it into a little frame, you know, that you can designate height and width. And then so when they actually fill out the survey, it doesn't refresh the whole page. It just refreshes the little iframe under the video, which then allows me to send them to the second form. And most people know now that Infusionsoft has made it easy to pass data from one opt-in form to the next. So, you know, we pass their email. We don't even show them it anymore. So what it looks like is just a second form where they have 2 additional questions to fill out. And sometimes we'll go a third round, you know, and in one whack, in one video, we'll collect 6 pieces of information that can really do us well in laser targeting or laser focusing an offer for them come in a couple days, or even tomorrow if they act faster.
So are you pausing the video to ask the question, or are you just popping up the question like a 5 seconds, a minute into the video, and then just slowly refreshing those questions while the video plays?
You know what? I want to test that, and I know Question Mine. I've been following some of the things that they've done. In fact, I watched a video on video branching last night. But no, ours is as simple as right under the video. The questions don't really sync with the video much. I mean, it's not like I'm saying in the video, hey, what's your favorite style of music, or why do you want to play? You know, I could be teaching them how to find the key of a song. You know, for my musicians out there might understand that. And under the video might be, you know, a historical question. Maybe how many months have you been playing? Anything that I can use to affect or cater, you know, a sales message to them. And there's over 10 questions that we ask, and we break it into goal-based questions. So why do you want to play? We break it into historic-based questions. How long have you been playing? Skill level questions, beginner, intermediate, advanced, behavior, consumer-based questions. Have you done this before? Have you done that before? Response-based questions, rating-based questions, like on a scale of 1 to 5. How much have you learned from this first video, and how much are you apt, or how apt are you to come back to the second video? And they'll rate that, and that'll, you know, have something to do with what happens in the future. Rating the instructor. What else do we do? How often they practice per week. You know, whether they currently have a piano teacher, and this is supplemental. Things like that. And each of those, we have a different possibility in our funnel that can take them down a different direction based on that. And not so much that right when they answer question 1, they go down a different path, but we may have a future step in our process that has to do with just that question. And if they don't answer it, it simply skips that email in the queue. But for the ones that answer, they play in church, for example. There's a series of church-based emails, church-based videos. that after they see that, they say, this guy's for me. He understands me. He understands the church. He's a church boy. I'm a church boy. And it's just for that, rapport based on what they told me. And then oftentimes they'll long forget what they tell me because I'll read the emails or my support desk will forward them to me, and this guy will be like, man, I can't believe, you seem just like me. I mean, I played in the church. I mean, I played 6 months before I first started, playing full time for my church, and it was just a reflection of what they had already told me that, and obviously my true story, especially when you pick church, so I can definitely relate there. But without Infusionsoft, I wouldn't be able to speak directly to that person based on data that they told me and relate my own personal stories to them. Now, they pick jazz. I don't have jazz in my background as much, but the teacher I did bring into our company to teach jazz, I tell his story. And this style of marketing, this style of rapport building, one-to-many, but at the same time appearing highly personal is what sets us apart, I think, in our niche.
And what is your funnel? Because I know some people are going to fight this, right? They're going to say, oh, yeah, well, it's a passionate thing. It's a hobby. No wonder that works. Good old Dan Kennedy, right? But Jermaine, my business is different. So I can't use videos and questions to sell computers or lawn care services or chiropractic care or LASIK eye surgery or beauty salon, you name it, right?
Right.
So what is your sequence? Are they coming in, you just giving them a free report or a free video, and then are they making a $5 purchase, then a $100 purchase? Can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, we do send them in such a way. But to answer that question about my business is different, I always combat that by saying, okay, so when you pick up the phone to take the order, I mean, people don't ask questions. They're ready with their credit card out. There's no information passed. You're never an advice giver. You're never a counselor. You're never having to walk and mentor people through anything. You're never dispensing advice. Usually the answer is no. I'm all of that and more. So I think people just have to look beyond the specific or the physical thing that they do and look at the information given that they take for granted. My plumber, every time my plumber comes, I'm thinking it's a 30-minute job, and it's a 2-hour job, not because he's sitting there doing it for 2 hours, but because somehow, some way, my curious mind has gotten behind him asking these questions, and he's teaching me something. He's telling me about gauges, and he's telling me about water pressure. I learned that my house is under pressure under the ground, and if you cut into the cement, that pressure will unloose, and the whole thing can blow up or something. I learned that a couple months ago. Pressure? What do you mean? Pounds of pressure. And there's information in every niche, in every industry. And so, and if you find you just can't get to that, I say take the consumer advocate approach, right? 7 secrets or 7 things you must know before hiring your next insert, profession. Take the consumer advocate approach, whether buying high-end art. These are things you need to know not to get screwed, or these are things to look for in high-end art. These 7 secrets to getting the best deal of your life when buying XYZ, or 7 tips to a better XYZ golf swing, music playing, stuff like that. So I've been hard-pressed to find a niche or be stumped on a niche that can't be converted into some kind of information, whether pre-consumer buying information or real nuggets and strategies and tips and tricks that you can give them. Frank Kern calls it results in advance, right? Give them your best tip up front. Don't be scarcity-minded. Be abundance-minded. And that's how I am. My first video in 30 minutes teaches them something I charge, $70 for in a course. It teaches them how to find the key of a song. And I promised them in the beginning, I said, by the end of this video, if you stick with me, I'm going to teach you how to find the song. I'm going to take you through 7 songs, and by the end, I bet you'll get a right answer. I mean, I'll take you from 0 to listening, really unlocking your ear to hear the key of a song. That's stuff that I would teach in a course. This isn't just, preview BS. This is real stuff, and I build so much rapport with my folks, especially the ones that comment on the video. Wow, you stuck to your promise. I can't wait to buy your courses. I can't wait to see what you have planned for us. And so that's the first thing. Now, as it relates to our funnel, you can go to hearandplay.com, and it's there. You can go to hearandplay.com /landing1. just my quick redirect for it. Again, hearandplay.com/landing1, and that's where we send a lot of Facebook traffic. And I have
the number one or one spelled out?
Oh, the number one, and that's our winning landing page right now. And I also have a tip for Facebook after this that relates to that, something you asked before, just like an idea or a tip. But so it starts with 4 videos. I offer 4 videos, but you don't get them all at once. You get them consecutively, and even the schedule in which you get them depends on whether you consume. So from there, on the thank you page of that, I always believe in taking advantage of confirmation page. I call it confirmation page marketing, CPM. Many of us squander the opportunity to ask for more information. Now, obviously, there's 2 parts here. You want to get them to confirm, so you don't want to lose sight of that. So on the upper end, I have very explicit instructions. I have their email there, like go check this email address just in case you forgot in the last 10 seconds. And don't underestimate people's focus online. What did I just use? I don't even know what I just used. Did I use Gmail, Yahoo? So I even repeat all that. So I go tell them. I'm just getting idea. You can take it so far to give them the Gmail link if their email ends in Gmail. That's just a little conditional stuff on the page. You can click them to their Gmail inbox. I haven't tried that, but I would imagine that would be one step closer to getting my goal. But right now we're getting 75%, 80% to double opt-in, so I'm proud of that. And then below that, we're immediately trying to get them to the second channel of marketing. I understand that email is just one way to reach them and increasingly getting harder. So I try to get them on their cell phone, their mobile phone. So we got this free Monday Music Minute thing that I get them on. We've gotten, tens of thousands of people on that. And every Monday they get a text message from me, 90%, 95% open rates. And we also give them offers there as well. And so I try to get them on that. So within, first couple minutes with me, I got your email, and a percentage of those folks going to give me their phone number. They log into Customer Hub we're currently using to give them that first lesson. Now, that first lesson is we're using the plugin to track their consumption. So we're knowing if they started the video, we're knowing if they got to the middle of the video, got to the end of the video, and that, based on they'll get tagged, based on whether they started or didn't start it or logged in or didn't log in. And so it's back to that yes or no stuff I was saying. Okay, so did Wes log in? He signed up. He showed interest. Did he log in? No. Okay, I got a worst-case scenario email ready to go out tomorrow. Say, hey, Wes, what's up, man? Jermaine here. I'm the guy you signed up for the free piano lessons yesterday. And look, I got a lesson waiting for you that's going to teach you the number one skill ear musicians must have in order to play. If you're going to play by listening, play by ear, it starts here. And if you don't, I got a curiosity-based approach. If you don't have this one skill, you better just hang it up, or, so many words. And they click that. That's a yes or no thing right there, that we're offering. So based on whether they consume, if they consume early, Wes can get the second video the next day. And we're even testing, sending the video in 3 hours from now to really be able to push someone through the funnel as fast as they want to be. And then if he doesn't watch, there's like 3 worst-case scenario reminders that take a different appeal to get him to consume. And at this point, on day 2, if Wes goes on to watch the second video or even half of the second video, he's offered something. So that's what I mean by, not being too fast, not being too pushy on the folks that don't know if they're with you yet, but meeting them in a different place. Just get them to get a preview, a taste, because when they taste, there's a scripture in the Bible, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Well, oh, taste and see that Jermaine stuff is great. And all I got to do is get you to taste it. So my goal isn't about getting you to get my free CD or pay for shipping or get on my continuity. It's just foolish. I can't get you to do something, for free. And I know some people are like, this is free. I know nothing in life is free. And some will actually buy without consuming, but that's not the average. And so my goal is different for different people at different paths. If you're an action taker, you're with me. Okay, now I make an offer for a CD collection, which leads to a workbook upsell. And it's originally a free offer. It's a free 2-disc set. But what we'll do is we'll upsell rush shipping. So it's like a 4-week delivery because of quantities and because of demand, 4 weeks. And then on the thank you page, I say, hey, for $3, I can get you priority, shipping, and I can get this out to you right away. We'll get 30% of people to give us a credit card there. So now we're on day 2 with a credit card. The $3 don't mean anything to me. No, we're actually on day 2 with an address, right? And we're also, for a percentage of those folks, 30% of those folks, we got an address and a credit card. And then that 2-disc set sells a 4 steps to next level playing workbook. So now we're into, $40 price point. Now, mind you, we're selling stuff $40 to $150. We just have to sell thousands of items to make our goals. But, on the Automation Clinic side, it's totally opposite. I start at $1,000, right? So over here, so now we got a $40, $50 sale coming through the pike, and we'll get a percentage of folks once they get their CD. Where does our follow-up turn to now? Our follow-up turns to, hey, getting them to that workbook landing page. And then we're segmenting the people who have given us a credit card. So if they've given us a credit card, we're sending them to the one-click offer page. If they haven't given us a credit card, we send them to the regular, order form version. So, and then that proceeds on. We get them on an automated teleseminar. We're using autoteleseminar.com for that. And even how we present our teleseminar to them depends on where they are in the video sequence. So I look at the video sequence as like the grand audition. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to see how frequently I'm going to be communicating with you in our long-term nurture sequence and some of the things we got planned. If I'm willing to spend money on you, and actually that's the proof's in the pudding, because I don't have any information to spend money on you. If you gave me your mobile number, yes, I'm spending 2 cents a text or whatever. And if you're giving me your mailing address to send you the 2 free CDs, okay, I got your address because you took action. But now it doesn't even stop there. I mean, am I going to start sending you postcards? Am I going to send you correspondence in the mail? And that depends on how many more videos you start watching, how many more times you click and consume, and now you develop what we call a lead score, which we were doing before Infusionsoft implemented their flames. They got flames now that you can set up. Like if they click a link, give them 10 points, and then if they open an email, give them 2 points, and you can totally customize this. And so now, even if you're in like a human heavy business where you call people, I mean, just for your phone rep to be able to chime, like before they pick up the phone and call John, to say, wow, John's got 4 flames, John's got 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5 flames, as opposed to 1, would probably dictate how the conversation goes or how you open up, or the likelihood that John will go on to the next step. But yeah, we just got this artificial, not artificial, but this artificially intelligent process of just giving them something to do, now looking at the feedback, and then determining where they go from there. But it's all automated. It's all automated through Infusionsoft. And I tell my buddies, and I'll leave you with this for this question at least. I tell my buddies we're all playing basketball, and they're all on my list, and they're like, yeah, man, you're coming out with that jazz program tomorrow. And man, how are you even affording to play basketball with us this late? And I'm like, man, I'm like, okay, I'll tell you about it one day. But, man, I released that jazz program 5 years ago. In fact, I need to update it. And they're like, word? I'm like, yeah, you're just in that sequence, and I can't even tell you what day you're on, because it would depend on how fast you click, Chris. It would depend on whether you were watching it. It's to the point where I can't predict. So it's like you build the system. Those movies where, like, the scientist builds the robots, and then the robots take over the world. And then, it's like that. I built the system, but it's got these plugs and goals in there where now I can't even tell you. I don't know what day you're on, because it's so dependent on your goals and things like that. And while it looks advanced, it really isn't when you start getting in there and just doing it one step at a time. What do I want, and what do I want next? And that's all I did. I want them to watch the videos, but then I want them to do this free CD set, and then I want them to go in and get the workbook of the same name, and then I want to get them on a teleseminar, and then on the teleseminar, I want to sell them the continuity annual plan or the monthly plan, and then I want to get them on my 300-page course, and then I want to branch them in. So that's just like the foundational stuff that everybody goes through. And then I want to branch them into church, gospel, then I want to branch them into jazz if they're into that, salsa, and then we go our separate paths and we talk specifically about their genres. But in the beginning, there's this real sophisticated funnel that meets them where they are, and so we've learned that our lifetime value before I joined Infusionsoft was about $90. That's like a course and a half that we were getting pre-2008, and now our lifetime value has skyrocketed past $500 with an average transaction frequency of 9. And that's just because of this follow-up that I've taken the time and energy to set up, but it just works for me. And now it's about tweaking and testing, and I can take out something, I can make something inactive that I think's not working, and I can plug something else in its place. And now it's about maintenance and just growing the back end and things like that. But it's awesome, and I think anyone can do this. Maybe not as vast, but I think you just get in, you take step by step, start with your lead magnet, and then start with your first offer. Lead magnet to first offer for those who raise their hand, and watch how drastically things will start changing for you.
So that brings up a question. You started this in 2002, and you've got some programs that are 5 years old, but how much are you actively in your business, tweaking and testing and coming out with new things? Is it still a daily, weekly venture for you?
Well, the testing and tweaking, yes. I mean, so what happened to me, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, what happened to me is so I got the M's going on. I'm a musician, I'm a marketer, I'm a minister. There's a few other M's I forgot. But so the music thing, I mean, when I first started, it was all about the music, right? And just like with entrepreneurs, it's all about the product. I got the best product. I am the best. This is because it's gold-plated and platinum, and it's not about the marketing, because we think the product itself, is supposed to sell itself. And then we go to, I need to get my name out there. That's another fallacy. Everybody needs to know who I am. No, that's not true. I'd rather get their name in here. I'd rather get, just the people that need me. I'd rather get their names in my system than my name out there to, everybody else, oversaturating the marketplace. But no, it started with being a really good musician and all about the music. And I was the headliner for all of my programs, especially the church programs. And then I really got the marketing bug and saw that the leverage was really in the marketing. And I started hiring all these other professionals, top gospel musician in the world, or, a nice jazz guy, who's studied with this grade or that grade. And, everybody had positioning, and then I would practice less and stuff. So I'm at a very interesting place where I do mostly all the marketing, but I'm finding I can't hit my C major scale as good as I used to hit it. So one of my resolutions in 2014 is to really get back into the love of the music. Now that I think I figured out the marketing pretty well, and I don't think I need to have all of my attention go there as it was building it to the place I wanted it to be. And now I think that I could get more balance. And I think that's just one of the things with entrepreneurship and business. Balance is the hard part. So yeah, we come out with things when I have other musicians, but Jermaine Griggs, man, it's probably been 5 years since Jermaine Griggs, 6 years since I've personally been on something. And I do think that my audience is looking for me to get back on, like the recoming or the rebirth of Jermaine Griggs. Or, I think I could really turn that into a historically producing launch, because I think I've been gone. But that's not to say I haven't introduced them to stuff. I've introduced them to people. I've been more like the publisher and just really honed the marketing. So, yeah, the test, the marketing, the added emails, new promotions, always on that stuff. New products, I was just talking to our guys. I was like, I'm about to get back in the saddle, and so 2014 will be the year. I don't know what I'll come out with. That'll be my own face, but I'm looking forward to it.
So what are you reading right now? What's on your bookshelf or on your Kindle or iPad?
So I got this book. I think people will enjoy this, especially with Infusionsoft. Drilling Down by Jim Noble. Are you familiar with that one?
No, Drilling Down.
This book is, oh my gosh, a book when you just close it and then you like shake it in the air with your lips clamped together because you got so much like good information from it. And that's hard to say after I've read dozens and hundreds of books. And this one just is giving me so many revelations, and I reread it. So Jim Noble, Drilling Down is a good one. It's an expensive book, but it's worth it. Also on like the wealth and abundance mindset, there's this book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money, and it's been good in just, getting me into that that realm of thinking or keeping me there. Because the forces try to work against you every day to get you, complacent and, out of that positive wealth abundance mindset. So I keep that. So we got a marketing one. We got like a life, not spirituality, but, positive thinking, law of attraction kind of book. But don't get it twisted. I'm not like, think about it and it's going to show up. You got to act. you got to act. And then I picked up Malcolm Gladwell's David and Goliath. I've been a big fan of his Outliers, Blink, The Tipping Point. Outliers was huge, 10,000 hour rule, just basically taking advantage of opportunity. I mean, I'm thinking about holding my kids back just based on his book. Now you're gonna be in kindergarten when you're 7 because we want you, be the top of your class. David and Goliath is kind of similar, and he's like, don't think if you're going to be the bottom of a Harvard class, it's going to affect your confidence and your ability to perform later in life if you're the bottom of the top. You were the top in high school, but when you go to Harvard and some of these bigger institutions, you become the bottom of the top. He's like, you're better off being the top of maybe a mediocre or just a second-tier school and keeping that confidence. And because he says they go on, the top of the class at the second-tier schools go on to publish more than the bottom of the classes at the top schools, you know. And so that was very interesting. And then I got The Millionaire Fast Lane. That's the last book, MJ DeMarco. Crack the Code to Wealth, and this book is more about. It has like the title seems different than what it really is. It's actually a really nice business book about building your business to a certain level and selling it, and really getting those numbers in places, the right people in places, and things like that. And that's what the fast lane is: getting a business that you can eventually sell, use that money to then live the life of your dreams. But until then, and that's something I struggle with too. I've had a lifestyle business. It hasn't been a business that I've invited investors into. Who's going to pay my business is really making all of my lifestyle dreams come true. And so this is really challenging me on stepping back and, taking some of those profits and getting the right management, even if you're paying 6 figures for them to get you in that direction. And that's some consideration. The exit plan is always important.
Right. Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time. This is, I think if I analyze words per minute, you probably have quadrupled. Are you sure you're from Long Beach? I think you're from New York, man.
Well, my family comes from all over, so who knows? Maybe I got the bug. Hey, I got a Facebook trick for you as well.
All right.
Well, what we've been doing, Wes, is I think we got this plug-in, and you know what? Maybe I'll gift it, but no, I can't do it because maybe my clients will get mad. But now we're populating we got this opt-in, and I know AWeber's doing it, but I haven't seen anyone make it for Infusionsoft. But it's populating their name and email right into the opt-in form, and it's great for your sales pages and your opt-in forms if they're logged into Facebook. But I took it a step further, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how many percentage of people are opted into Facebook when they get on our landing page with this Facebook opt-in. But if they are, it's great. You get their best email, and that's been a really big problem. Are we getting the best email? Are we getting the junk email? And that has to do with sophistication of markets. I do it myself. If I just want to see what this person is up to, but I don't want to be on their autoresponder campaign because I'm sophisticated, I know how it works, and no thank you, I'll give them my junk email, And we're up against that on the other side as well with our own clients and prospects. But having this Facebook opt-in, you get the one that's on file with their Facebook. And let me tell you, my mom had some complications. She was in the hospital. I had to check her bank account and I had to check her Facebook. Both of these were equally important. Bank account, let me write in. Username, password, no safe code, no text message, nothing. Facebook, I still can't get in her Facebook account. She's got cell phone, text message, fingerprinting, so people take their Facebook seriously. So now we're saying, well, when we're running ads, we run them to a custom page inside of Facebook with this little tool. And so now not only are you guaranteeing they're on Facebook, right? the environment dictates 100%, but now we're getting best email. It's already pre-populated in, and now we're looking at implementations with Infusionsoft's Growth Social and things like that. I'm surprised they haven't implemented that because, you can put your opt-in form in your Facebook page. You can put your opt-in form in your custom page, but you can skip that altogether. It turns Facebook into a one-click lead generator. And then there's other connector Facebook things like that. So I would encourage people to look into that. Facebook opt-in or Facebook registration. And you can really do some neat things. I predict it's going to be a lot more widespread. I might be one of the few because I haven't seen it out there for Infusionsoft. We can tag them. We can run actions on them. We can branch them out. It's driven by the API. You can collect birthday, gender, location.
Is that a WordPress plugin or what is this?
Well, for my group, I made it a WordPress plugin, but I don't see it out in the marketplace anywhere because even before I went to tackle it, I'm just looking for it as a consumer myself for Infusionsoft specifically. And yeah, it's a WordPress plugin. You basically go in, you say name, you check all the fields you want. Now, Facebook will give you name, email, birthday, date of birth, location. You can even have a create new password that we sync with the password field. And then we have action set ID, tags to apply, tags to remove, and then it spits you out an iframe. You just go throw that iframe either on your opt-in. You can go throw it on your Facebook custom tab pages because, you can put HTML in those or wherever you want. And but I'm finding it to work well PPC on Facebook because, it's been known that Facebook PPC, you get lower lower prices or cost per click by keeping them on Facebook for whatever reason. When I put in hereandplay.com, they're trying to charge me, way higher rates than when I put in facebook.com/hereandplay or facebook.com. And so now just, keep them in their environment, but use the technology now to get that one-click email name, and it's going to be the best prioritized email into your Infusion, and then take the relationship away from Facebook from there.
All right, I'm trying to look this up real quick. So it's a WordPress registration plugin.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, no, you got to go to Facebook registration.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook registration API, and that's how you'll find information on it. But in terms of the WordPress thing that I built, it's not even publicized. It's Pinnacle Club. But if you want to see an example of it, Wes, go to hereandplaystats.com/facebook.html, and that's just like a little test I put up for my own group. But that'll give you an idea. And if you're logged in, tell me if that's got your email and all your stuff in there.
All right. Tell me that again, hereandplaystats.com?
Yeah, just a little test site, hereandplaystats with an S at the end, .com/Facebook.html. And that should, that's the longer form, but then I got a Facebook 2.html, a Facebook 3.html, a Facebook 4.html. And that'll give you all the different opt-in forms that you can create with it, and it's cool. And I'm sure you're logged into Facebook on your browser, and I'm sure your information just sitting there. And,
right. Yeah, it pulled me right up.
Yeah, and mind you, that first one is a longer one. I'm generally not an advocate of asking too much up front, but imagine in the back end you wanted to collect birthday, which we collect, but we've never collected it with it already in there before now. And so and all that stuff seamlessly goes into Infusionsoft. So I think even if we're early and even if people can't seem to find an equivalent tool, I think that it will hit the scene. I'm not really interested in being in software. I do these things for private clients and stuff like that, but I'm sure it'll hit the scene in widespread form soon.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I think I heard in the distance your kids were knocking, saying, "Daddy, let me out."
Well, I had the warden go up there, and she's been taking care of them.
Throwing goldfish and water at them?
Yeah, they knocked twice, and then there's a code for that, and then, we got a whole system. But I'm going to join them, to be honest with you. So I'm headed there. This is my release today, Wes.
I hear you. Well, I've got one more call, and I got movie tickets for Christmas, man. I love movies. My wife doesn't. So I'm going to take some of my kids and go to a movie.
Oh, nice. You got to enjoy a good movie. I think we'll join you at a movie here locally here. And if anyone thinks I'm serious, because you got different kind of folks out there, we're just playing about this dungeon stuff with my kids. Don't take me seriously. It's a nice playroom with alphabet carpets and table, and the wife is up there, and we're having a good time. But anyway, Wes, thank you.
All right, Jermaine, thank you. You were most gracious and quite giving as always. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. And see you next time.
All right, man. Thanks, Jermaine.
Bye.
What did I tell you? Jermaine holds nothing back. This is a podcast you're going to want to listen to over and over. Visit thesaleswhisper.com/session35 to see some of the notes. When we got started, notice how Jermaine mentioned a big push for him was getting into persuasion and copywriting. He saw that 26-page sales letter. All right. Now in the last 12 years, he's done over 8 figures in total sales. Social media and all this is fine and dandy, and it can help you. But at the end of the day, marketing is just selling in print. If you can't sell, then you can't sell in person, you're going to have a hard time selling in print. Okay. And social media is just another form of print marketing and advertising. So understand persuasion, understand copywriting. Understand why people buy. Jermaine talked about how AIDA is the same as it ever was, right? And it's true. We're human beings. What piques our interest, what gets our attention, what drives us to action is the same. Now, we have more distractions than ever with social media, with text messaging, with email, et cetera, et cetera. But what gets our attention is still the same. So go back and listen to this over and over. Notice how Jermaine uses surveys. He's constantly tweaking that and refining it. And based on people's answers, he gives them different information and different follow-up questions. If you want to visit thesaleswhisper.com/resources, you can see some of the tools we talked about. One of those being Question Mind. I've got an affiliate link there. Please visit that and use that when you order through me. If it's right for you, then I throw in some bonuses to help you get started with that. But you need to understand why people do what they do. Why are you their best option, including doing nothing, right? Once you're clear on that, on why people should buy from you, why they do buy from you, then you can come up with the questions and then understand how to make a great offer and subsequent, sequential great offers that get them to buy into what you're doing, even if that buy-in is only an opt-in, right? Another thing Jermaine talked about was how people opt in for the lead magnet. It's a free workbook, but then it's like a 4-week delivery. But for a $3 upsell, you can get rush delivery. So now he has your address, your phone number, and your credit card. And now he can make sequential, relevant offers after that, because obviously if you're willing to spend money to get that workbook on a rush delivery, A, you have a lot of interest. B, you're willing to invest in your hobby, your passion. So again, a lot of things to take in here. Visit thesaleswhisper.com/session35 to get the notes. Please visit iTunes, leave a comment. Leave a comment on the podcast right there. It's published as a blog on my site. I'd appreciate it. And as always, remember to sell different. Thanks for listening.